Okay, so I'm back here with another iRacing race. This time it's Porsche Cup at Imola. So coming in for my first qualifying lap, ideally I want to set around a mid to low 46, but this race was probably about the fourth race I did overall out of the week, because I just bought Imola like a few days before the season or the weekends, so I didn't really have too much time to practice, but I was just gonna hop into some races. And I really like to set a good lap time, but it's kind of somewhat difficult in this car and track. Throughout the week though, I have improved a lot on my times. Coming into this downhill section, you really want to nail that apex, be able to come out wide and then back into that other apex and not run over all four tires on that green, because if you do that, then it's off track and your lap time is invalidated. And coming to the chicane, really important to not go too much over that curve, the initial curve, or else that also is an off track. So, and then coming downhill, you got to brake, or I brake just at the top of that hill. And then come across not to go out right there, because that's another off track. And make sure you get good rotation on the final corner, and then set a lap. Come in line for the second lap of qualifying. You can see that I didn't set a lap because I invalidated it, the first one. So I really need to set a good lap. So that 147 that car number one set, I should be able to, or I really want to set something under that or match it, because you can see number 21, he sets almost a 49. That's not very good. That's pretty slow lap time. And I ended up by the end of this week able to set low 46, very low 46s in qualifying and in the race. And that hairpin is pretty difficult, just because you got to get the right rotation, and it's very easy to spin out of it if you don't get the right line. And this corner is also very hard to take because it's super easy to go off track, and when you go off track in that corner, it just ruins the entire lap. And then that's probably the best line you can possibly have through this next downhill part. And then coming up to the chicane, really need to slow the car down to be able to make that turn in. Like that. That's about the most curb you can take. And then the car that gets placed in P2 set a 47.7, but I think he must have invalidated that, or my overlay is just already saying what position he ends up in. But I come across the line with a 46.99, which is good enough for fourth place. So what then in that race would have been probably for me, a slow lap, ends up now being even then it's still slow, but starting P4 off the line to get a fairly good start. Car in front cuts me off, then he gets on the grass, locks up, slides out, takes that one car. Then now I'm in P3, up the inside, car number one. Then I've already gained 2 positions off the first lap. Then look for another move in the inside, but he ends up having the inside for the next part of that chicane. Then coming into the hairpin, I'm right on his bumper. Then this next part I'm not super proud of, but he kind of comes across. I don't know if he didn't see me or what happened there, but it just happens. Unfortunate, but it just happens in racing. So now I'm in first place, 3/10, the car in second. I just need to try to get that gap up, because I don't like having someone that close. Because if he keeps that distance to me, he can easily pass on the front stretch in the very, very long straightaway. And now the hardest thing to do is just not from the pressure, just brake late when you're trying to go quicker. Because I have done that a few times before. That's very, very frustrating. And a few races out. So now coming into the second to last corner of the first lap. First place, 4/10 to position number 2. Out of the final corner, I end up getting about 6/10 on him. So crossing line, first place. And now from here, all I need to do is just keep this lead, try to keep the lead. And you can see in the back, their cars fighting for more position. They're all very, very close to each other. So really, it's anyone's game for P2. And you see P2 just overshoots the corner, goes right on the curbing, and then almost got past right there. And then P3 made the move stick through the chicane. Coming up this next series of corners, I still need to just keep my line, just remember my braking. Because as in the few races before this, they'd not gone super great. I'd done about three or so races beforehand. And one of them, every now and then, they'd have good finishes. But then some of them just not great at all, just bad luck. Sometimes in Pcup, there's just not too much you can control. But overall, though, even though Pcup can be fairly unlucky, I'd say it's still one of the best series in this entire platform. Just from the amount of fun you can have with it and the challenge it can provide. Because this car really can prove how good someone is. You can see that I'm 1.3K, and P2 is 1.5, and then I'm not too sure what the strength of field in this race even was, but I was not the highest by far. And even right now, I'm almost 1.6K. And that's after a few more races, even after this one. But I had done all the recording and editing for another video about my third race. It would have been the one before this. It went pretty well, just having some technical problems. I don't know if I'll keep doing that or not. But I just decided to pick this race because it ends up being pretty good. Not the most action-packed race by far, but a pretty good one at that. And then now I have about 2.5 seconds to car behind, and about 3.5 to P3, so I pretty much just got a nice gap on him. Last lap I set was a 147.195, which is slower than my qualifying, but the fastest lap of the race session so far. Then coming into the chicane, I have no idea what I'm doing. Why I just did that. I just locked the brakes and braked way too late into that corner. Went straight on through it. Ended up having to slow down, so right now I have to serve it. Because I really don't feel like having a drive-through penalty. Because in one of my first races I got a drive-through penalty, and that cost me the race. Or that cost me position at least. I'd drive through actually in that race because for jumping the start, because I rolled about 4 inches. So I was trying to clutch start, and my clutch, I guess, wasn't activated properly, so I just rolled right off the start and then had to drive through. So that kind of just messed the race up a little bit. But coming out of lap 4, still in first, still ends up being 3 seconds to P2. Because I guess he didn't quite get a very good line out of that corner. Anyway. So the last lap I set was a 46.9, but because I went off track, it doesn't count, unfortunately. But I still do hold the fastest lap until right then when it was taken away by another car in the back. And you can see on the delta graph that P number 2, he's losing time to me, and I think that would be the first sector, or the first third of the lap, and then he gains 2 seconds in the rest of it, but I don't know how that really works, just based on that I'm still ahead of him, and he's not gaining very much time. Out of that corner, I'm still faster than him, because you can see I gained 3/10 in it. And I gain even more time in the chicane. And coming out of the chicane, I do kind of slip just a little bit. But if you don't get it, if you get on the power too early, it's pretty easy to do that. Between positions 4 through P2, they're all still pretty close to each other. So any second, I can expect that time just keep going up because they fight. And that just makes it a whole lot easier for me. And then I go ahead and go fastest with a 46.162. And that's a very good lap for this time. For this time in the race week, where I still wasn't setting super great laps. And even now, I'm still 2 seconds off good pace. Except the pace is still usually good enough for the splits I'm in. And now within a few laps, I'd be approaching the lap cars. And now, because it went on to lap 10, just wanted to skip just a little bit, so it wouldn't get too boring, with just the same laps every time. But for lap 9, I did set the fastest lap. Then over that point, I don't know why I shifted like that. Why it seemed like I shifted a little too late. Because that will eventually, it can add up to losing time. But I have 3.5 seconds on the car behind, so I'm not too worried about him. Then all I need to do just to finish this race, there's 6 laps, or about 5 laps left now. I just need to run a clean race. And all these nice different camera angles do show how beautiful the car livery it really is. Shout out to Pole Racing for that livery. Now coming to lap 11, I'm still about 3.5 seconds ahead. P2. He's closing ever so slightly, but I am still setting low 46s, which I will need to keep doing to ensure that I'm still in first place. Because P6 or P2 right now is still setting faster laps, not by much, but he still is setting them. So in that downhill section, you can see right there how I went off track and locked my brakes before that. I had been sliding out every now and then through that corner. If you brake just too late, you still make the initial apex, but then it's sometimes difficult to slow the car down, so then you slide out. And that's what I was trying not to do there, and that's why I just locked up and went a little wide. Which ends up just, all it will really do is give you an off track. And then now someone else set a faster lap than me, so it would be in 45s, which that'd be really nice. And at this point, unfortunately, I was not able to do that. Now, coming on to lap 12, there is a lapped car now in between P2 and P3. And now lap cars keeps getting passed, but those lap cars do make it a little easier because they sometimes will hold up the cars behind me, so it increases the gap. Just makes it feel just a little bit better when that happens. And now all I really need to do is just set consistent laps. And you can see my lap time is starting to go back up just ever so slightly. Coming in this left-hander, I do almost overshoot it. That ends up being just about right. But just even a little more speed carried for that corner and I'd be in the runoff. And now I am at the point where I'm starting to have to drive a little more carefully because my tires are just a little bit starting to wear. Like in that chicane especially, how I just almost locked up. That can be very deadly because you can just lock up and just snap straight into the outside wall. I've had a couple of races get run into by that as well. If you're not careful, this car can really bite you. I almost went deep through the penultimate corner, and coming through the final corner, there is debris in the apex. I have died in a race because of debris on that corner. Just slide easy, just slide right out. And then coming on to the final lap, I'm just gonna skip ahead. Just the final lap, so there doesn't really need to be much more shown about laps 13, 14, but still about 3.5 seconds to P2, and then 4/10 to P3 from P2. And now I am also catching a lapped car, but that shouldn't really matter. And it looks like P2 and P3 are fighting with each other, so that really would take any pressure off of me, knowing that they'll drop back. And I am now back to setting sub 47 lap times. They're still not super quick, but quicker than the cars behind, except for P3, who now has the fastest lap. And P2 does get the gap under 3 seconds for a little bit. And he still actually does keep it under, but P3 did drop off of P2 by almost 2 seconds. Then I almost hopped too much of that curb right there, and that can really unsettle the car. But now I just have 2 corners left to go. I just got to keep it nice and smooth. And rounding the final corner, I'm gaining not really any time at all. He's gaining on me, but there's not enough left. And I've just won the first ever Porsche Cup race of it. So that win felt very, very nice. So I've been trying for Porsche Cup for a while, never had success like that. Then that's pretty nice for just being about the 4th or so race this week on this track. So I am really looking forward to next week in VIR, because hopefully I'll be able to succeed pretty well. And that'll do it for this video.